folks, Mike the driver here. Whether you're traveling or in your hometown, sometimes getting around can be difficult. So what we've done is we've developed a fun, safe, and convenient way for you to get around. You can book your transportation for any occasion. We specialize in birthdays, quinceañeras, weddings, bachelorette parties, airport transfers. Committed to excellence and a leader in logistics, Trypps will guarantee that your transportation needs will be met with the highest of expectations.
If you're looking for the most amazing podcast ever, well, this isn't it. You're listening to the Average Fellas Podcast, guaranteed to let you down and leave you unsatisfied.
Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Average Fellas Podcast. I'm your host, Zodizach, coming to you live all the way from Riverside, California, on another beautiful Monday morning. Oh, gosh. Man, fall is in full swing right now. I'm loving it. I'm loving the pumpkin spice. You know, I got to get me some of that pumpkin spice, man. I've been drinking the cloud foam at Starbucks, and it's the pumpkin spice cloud foam thing they got going on over there is hot right now, guys. Anyways, enough about me. Today's episode, I have a special guest who is a entrepreneur, a hustler for, I mean, as long as I've known him to be on his entrepreneur game. You know, I've always seen him, you know, going, if you know, not just having one project in mind, but 2 or 3 projects and, you know, going for it, working for himself, trying to do something for him. And it's inspiring. And so without any further ado, I want to bring on my guest today, Mike the driver with Trypps, founder and CEO. What's going on, Mike? How are you today?
Hi, Zach. I'm doing good today. Thank you for having me on, and thanks for your time. I really do appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no problem, man. No, this is great, man. I'm really excited to get in this conversation with you today. You're just one of these types of people that I vibe on. You know, like we get in the room together, we vibe. You know,
right. We have.
Yeah,
we've done a lot of stuff together.
We have done a lot of stuff together. Speaking of doing a lot of things together, I think we actually met. Randomly, we ended up at a prayer vigil. I think it was a prayer walk for the community of Los Banos. I can't remember exactly how that all turned out or how that was orchestrated, but we met there randomly.
Oh, we met. See, I don't even remember that. Yeah, I remember the prayer walk in the park. Like the whole half of town of Los Banos was walking and praying. Yes. And I think it was Pastor Bruce leading that.
Yeah.
And
I just don't remember what the event was for, though.
Ton of people. He was praying. Ton of people praying. I don't remember. And they were walking the streets. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. I want to be part. But then I didn't even remember that I met you. That I thought we met at church.
No, well, we got connected through that because we'd met at that prayer meeting somehow. I don't know how, because I was volunteering, working at my church. And I don't know how you ended up there, but you ended up there with us, and then you needed a ride, and I was like, "Hey, man, you need a ride? I got you." And we dropped you off somewhere. I don't remember. I was just being a good Samaritan that day.
You know what? Yeah, because we walked, and I was now a ways from my house. And
yes.
It was like, how do I get back? I needed. I do remember that now. I completely remember that.
Oh my gosh, man, that's funny. That is funny.
Yeah, a lot has happened. So speaking of entrepreneurial and always being on it, it was someone from Los Banos who took me to that town, and we launched an office, a financial services office in that town, and that's what brought me out there. So it was an entrepreneurial venture that took me to that town. That's how we met.
And you know, look, here we are now. More entrepreneurial adventures, and here we are back at it again.
Right.
In 2020, right. Man. Oh, man. So, speaking of introducing yourself, can you give me maybe just a real quick brief overview of your entrepreneurial ventures and experiences thus far in Mike the driver's pretty much maybe career?
Overview. I am 43. I will be 44 this year, and my whole life, I've had a vision of success and where I wanted to be, and nowhere in that vision was 9 to 5 or looking for a job or trying to get a degree, trying to qualify for this Ivy League position, submitting resumes and joining the rat race. Like that was the furthest thing from my thinking.
Oh man, come on, preach it. Woof.
And,
Felt the spirit there, bro.
and so for as long as I can remember, since I was a little kid, man, we were like, I think we did a lemonade stand. We were passing out flyers and helping my dad land jobs. My dad was entrepreneurial. My dad owned his own construction company for as long as I can remember.
Wow.
And in my earliest memories, we're going to work with him on these construction job sites. I don't think like Cal OSHA was highly regulating job sites back then. So we were little kids running around these dangerous job sites, but that's how it started. And those were some of my earliest memories.
Yeah, man.
And we worked with him. I worked with him most of my life growing up, and side by side, we did a lot of, I learned how to generate business. I learned how to cultivate raw land, raw people, and turn it into business.
That's funny. That's so funny that you bring that up, because I used to watch my dad do that too. Like my dad he was a cement mason, so he knew anything with cement he could do. And I would see him turn that raw material into a backyard patio for somebody, right? And not just any kind of work. I mean, like, obviously they want that nice colored stone pebble look or whatever it is. He was able to do all that stuff. And I always that's so funny that you bring that, because I had that same experience being 7, 8, 9 out there on the job site, and rusty nails and stuff sticking out, and you're like, what? Wow, man, that blows up. No wonder we vibe.
Yeah. And I know your dad too. Your dad's a hardworking man. How old is he, by the way?
He's doing really good. He had a bout with colon cancer, actually, and maybe a year ago now. But he's clear. He's been checked up on, and he's still being checked up on. And he also had a hip replacement too. So he's gone through it all, and he's survived, and he's healthier than ever. And I'm so proud of him.
Amen. And give it up for good health.
Amen. Tell me about it.
Right.
So, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to get a little deeper. You're an entrepreneur. How did Trypps come about?
Okay, Trypps. After I left Los Banos, Zach, I was in between projects, and I was back in Orange County, and I was looking for my next move.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the summer of 2016, and Uber was hitting a really, really good stride. They were just recruiting, mass recruiting. Yeah, drive for Uber, be your own boss, and live your life the way you want on your terms. That was kind of their shtick, and that matches mine. Almost identically. So I try it out. I was in between things, and I was looking for something to do, and I loved it.
Uh-huh.
I loved it. I don't know if you remember, but I had a 2-seat. I had a Corvette at the time. So I'm like, well, I can't really Uber in a Corvette.
The CEO life, bro.
So Uber was like, well, we rent cars, so don't worry about it. I got into an Uber rental car, and I just loved it. Wow. I'm from LA my whole life, born and raised, and now I'm Ubering, and I'm seeing parts of LA that I never knew existed. I'm meeting super cool people, and I just loved it. I don't even know how to explain how fulfilling and how fun and how much I loved doing it.
Yeah.
And then after the first couple of weeks, you get those signing bonuses, and it's some really good money in the first couple of weeks, and you're just like, yeah. Well, after the first couple of weeks, the ether wears off, and you're starting to do your calculations, and you're figuring out your dollars and your cents, and then I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like it's making too much sense. So I wanted to go up to the commercial level, to the SUV, the black SUV level.
Yeah.
And I pull over a driver at the Starbucks. I'll never forget. I pull over a driver at the Starbucks in the Costa Mesa, and I kind of picked his brain, and I asked him, how do I get into it? What do I do?
Yeah.
And he gave me the lowdown. So shortly after that, I advanced from the low-level, entry-level Uber car rental level up to the black SUV level. And now it's an entirely different game. It's an entirely different clientele. And now it's real business.
Yeah.
Now it's real business.
Yeah.
And so my first week driving that black SUV, I'm in West Hollywood. I'm meeting like starlets. I'm meeting business owners and entrepreneurs. I'm meeting people who are, instantly my business in that vehicle changed.
Yeah.
So I meet a buddy in the streets, and we kind of started running around together. And he tells me about an event that's happening out in Palm Springs. And so he's like, let's go check it out. I says, okay, let's go. So me and him, we kind of pack a bag and we drive out to Palm Springs. And it was not Coachella. It was Desert Trip. It was like a classic rock festival. Paul McCartney was there, and it was a bunch of classic rock acts.
My kind of style.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Definitely cool. And the first night, we're trying to figure out the whole Uber system. Uber has a parking lot, which was like a cattle call, and it was a big disaster. Drivers couldn't get rides, and riders couldn't get drivers, and it was a big mess.
Yeah.
Well, the first night, I want to say the first night was a flop, but it wasn't. It was a flop with Uber. But being the entrepreneur and the outside the box thinker that I am, me and my friend figured out another way to make money, and we did very well. But it was not because of Uber. And then the next day, I decide I need an edge. Uber's not the way to go. I need to figure out another way to do this and figure out how to cultivate and turn something into nothing, which is what I've always done. I drove into the valet of the Riviera in Palm Springs, I stayed at the Riviera a few years before, and that's like the only thing I knew of the entire Coachella Valley was the Riviera Hotel.
Yeah.
I drive in, I introduce myself to the head valet. His name is Mike. I'll never forget him. And he takes my card and he says, I introduce myself. Hey, my name's Mike the driver. I'm in town for the weekend. I'm driver. If you guys need anybody needs anything, please just give me a call. And it was as simple as that. And the guy took my card, and it was almost like I was handing him a piece of gold or something. He looked at it and he's like, wow. And he takes it and gives it to the desk guy, and he gives it to the concierge, and within 15, 20 minutes, I get a phone call.
Wow.
And it was the head concierge at the Riviera at the time. And he was telling me a story of three gentlemen who were trying Uber the night before, and they had the same problem that I had. But on the rider side, they couldn't get a driver. It was a big fiasco.
Yeah.
And for day two and for the rest of the weekend, they're hoping maybe the hotel can put them in touch with a car service.
Yeah.
And then I come along.
Wow.
So
Mike the driver.
I couldn't have been any more perfect. So I take care of these guests for the rest of the weekend. For the rest of the weekend, I did not have to take another Uber ride. These guests kept me busy. They were businessmen traveling from Australia. And after the weekend, most of the group went back home, back to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
The main dude, he's moneybags. He's an entrepreneur. He's a business owner from Australia, very successful, very wealthy businessman, and he was staying in America for about another month golfing.
Wow.
And I took care of the guy for about 2 more weeks, and he had me take him back to Orange County, back to Newport Beach, back to, and then he was golfing in Newport Beach, and then he was golfing in LA, and he was golfing in Palos Verdes. So he had me and pick up his friends from the airports, and, So one business card, one introduction turned into a 2-week job. And I was like, wow, exactly, wow. And weekend 2, I get a phone call from the same concierge at the Riviera, and he says, Mike, I heard really, really good things about you. I have another group, guests that are here this weekend, or that are coming in this weekend, and they want a driver, and I can't think of anyone else but you. And I said, that's really, really good, Will. I actually won't be coming into town for weekend 2. This guy's keeping me busy, but I do have a partner. I do have a buddy, and I'm going to go ahead and send my buddy to take care of the guests. So that's exactly what I did. I made contact with the guests. I billed the guests. I sent my friend, and I dispatched one of my friends at drivers to take care of him. And then I was able to pay my friend and, take care of the concierge, show him a little bit of love. And then I was left with the profit. And the rest was history. The rest was just like, wow, okay, I'm moving to Palm Springs.
There you go.
So I'm moving to Palm Springs. The name of my company at that time was Reliable Transportation. It was something I just thought of. I had to whip up some business cards really quick. I saw that I was interacting with people, and I would need to represent myself. I would need some cards. So I whipped up some cards. Reliable Transportation. And now I'm moving to Palm Springs, and now I'm starting a car service business with the hotels in Palm Springs. So I started coming out on the weekends, started meeting more, and every weekend I'd come out and introduce myself to more and more hotels, and they would love me. They loved my style, they loved my car, they loved my look, they loved my service, and they were putting people in my car. I was coming out every weekend making great money. So that was in October of 16. By the new year of 16-17, I was living in Palm Springs full time.
Wow.
And so I had this vision. This is the visual part of the story for you, Zach. I had this vision. You know how Trypps, how Uber has those trade dress decals that sit on the windows?
Yeah.
And Lyft has theirs, and Uber has theirs, and right?
Right.
Well, for my company, I wanted to see all these cars drive around with a T on it, because my last name is Teyes.
Yeah, that's right.
So I started thinking of words that start with T. And I was just trying to think of a word that started with T that kind of fit the theme. And then it hit me, Trypps. So then I went to GoDaddy to try to find a domain. Well, if you can imagine, Trypps.com is not available. So I tried every variation of the word Trypps I could think of until I found one that was available.
Wow.
Done.
You know what? I will say this, though. Okay, I will say this. The way it's spelled, though, is very Palm Springs-esque. It captures the vibe perfectly.
It couldn't have been any better.
Exactly.
It couldn't have been any better. I know. And so that's just my ingenuity. I really, really put a lot of thought and a lot of craft, and just being clever and being outside the box, and not being like everybody else, not being norm. Just there's not another company like mine.
Yeah.
So I found a domain name that was available, and I bought it instantly, and I started building my brand. Yeah. And I just started building my brand. I went to, since I needed it to be like some kind of a circular trade dress that would go on to cars. I mean, I just envisioned it, Zach. Yeah. I just envisioned it. And I went on to this logo building app website. And I threw it. I just started toying with fonts, and I started toying with designs, and that's how it came. That's how it came.
The startup, man. The startup. Wow, that's exciting.
That's it. That's how Trypps came about. That's the entire story.
Wow. So speaking of Trypps, what services does Trypps provide?
So in the beginning, we were just car service, just transpo. It was me in my Suburban, and that's as far as it went. And when Uber does their Uber Eats and food delivery, I started offering delivery service and telling the concierge in the hotels, hey, look, guys, I'm not just transpo, I'm not just car service. If anybody needs something picked up and delivered, I'll do that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, like what? Anything. It was now, like I was saying, Halloween time, October and Halloween time, there was a Halloween party, and someone wanted some white pants. They were going to be a sailor or something, and he needed some white dicky pants. And so I ran to the Walmart. I met the guy. I got his body size, pant size, and I ran to the Walmart and I got some dickies, pretty basic, and I ran back, and the guy paid me for the pants and he paid me for my time. And again, I'm just like, wow. So I turned something into nothing, and it's turning out great. So
or you turn nothing into something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, did I say that backwards?
It's okay. I got it though. I got it.
And so then we started doing delivery. So Trypps transportation, and then we opened the delivery, and it's delivery courier. Since COVID, the courier and delivery side has just skyrocketed. Talk about a super V or a check mark. Just gone. I'm every day in the car delivering stuff all over the place. Anything you can possibly imagine, going to just about anywhere you can possibly imagine, I do it.
Well, I mean, speaking about anything and everything that you could possibly imagine, I was able to catch up with you a couple days ago, and you were on a trip actually carrying something significant, something special. Can you highlight maybe some of the cool things that you've had to maybe, deliver as a part of your service?
Sure. So I service here in Palm Springs. There are a lot of high profile clients, a lot of high profile residents and celebrities. And I do have some celebrity clientele that I work with, that I've been working with closely. And I can't give out names. I kind of respect my
keep it discreet.
Privacy.
Yeah, it's professionalism.
Right. But let's just say there is an A-lister who's been making music, probably, I can't remember, from the 60s or the 70s at least. He's been making music, and he's an award-winning musician. And I had to run out some masters, some tape. He called it just tape. They were masters.
Wow.
To a music producer out in Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was on my way back when we caught up. But yeah, apparently there I don't know, this music producer is doing something with this guy's masters, with this guy's work from the 70s. Yeah.
That's super cool, man. I mean, well, but also, as a business though, like that, ensuring that you can transport something of that caliber and get the job done, you become a trusted source.
Right. And you know what? You're absolutely right about that. So all of my businesses online are 5-star rated. Customer service, 5-star customer service is the mission statement of our company. And that is, I mean, I live and die by that. Customer service. I feel like customer service is it's dying. It's a dying concept.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in customer service have no idea what customer service means. So one thing you can count on with Trypps is getting 5-star customer service all of the time. This client I've been working with for over 3 years, providing that level of service. And so, yeah. I mean, it would take, a lot of trust. You're absolutely right. And that's important. That's very important, especially if you're building a company and you want a reputable brand and you want people to trust you with their jobs, with their business. You have to give that good service.
Yeah. 100%. So can you highlight what, because I mean, obviously we're out here in Southern California. Can you highlight what a full festival season is like in Southern California desert, man? I had to talk to somebody about this.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question. And it is the highlight of our season for everybody here in Coachella Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have one this year.
Yeah.
This would have been my 4th Coachella. And for Coachella, there's 2 weekends, but the first weekend is the big weekend. That's the weekend the celebs are in town. And that's the weekend that the after parties happen, and all of the big names have the after parties, and it's just nuts. It's nuts. I can tell some stories there too.
We'll save that for the deep cuts. That'll be the bonus content.
Yeah. We'll save that one for later. And so it's I put out. I need to go back. So it started with me and the one car, and me delivering service goods to anything. But I started branching out. Someone asked, "Can I get them a limo?" Yeah, sure, I'll get you a limo. Can you get me a party bus? Sure, I'll get you a party bus. And I never say no to a job. I say yes to a job, and then I figure out how to get the job done.
Wow.
And so we've grown, and I have a team of not a team. I have a network of limousine providers that can put a limo anywhere I need it to be, anytime.
Wow.
And so for festival season, a lot of people last minute start looking for their transportation, and we're booking. It's a very, very high demand time, and these limos and these buses are going for 10 hours a day minimum for 3 days minimum.
Wow.
So it's a 30-hour booking.
Wow.
And last year, I probably booked about 12 to 15 of them.
Wow.
This year, I was expecting to just blow the doors off and go insane. And so it hurt us all. It hurt us all. Yeah. You know, COVID came, and then one by one, bookings started canceling. Wow. And that was happening all over the desert. And all of us pretty much were sitting in the same situation with having to refund our customers and you know, customer service, be good to them. Well, when COVID hit, obviously no there weren't too many limos and party bus bookings. I think I've put out half a dozen limos this whole year.
Wow.
And so so I switched my focus. The delivery and the courier started to really take off. And I then decided
So that's been a pivotal moment for you as a business to pivot for COVID, right? You've had to go from being this, private, transport person, not primarily, but that's one of the services that you offer under Trypps. But you've had to really lean into that delivery courier side of the business. Is that right?
Yes. Good point. I did. I had to pivot. I made a conscious decision and pivot. And I started focusing. I mean, people weren't even looking at limos. They're not calling about limos. No, there's not. That's shut down.
Right.
But they do need people to deliver their supplies. They need people to deliver their groceries. And like I said, that part of the business just skyrocketed. So on top of delivering supplies and groceries, I mean, people are sending me lists, and I have one group of people who are up in the mountains who've been up there since March, and every week I take them about $1,000 to $1,500 worth of groceries every week.
Wow.
Every week I go.
Ingenuity, talking about an entrepreneur spirit, man. Like like you said, turning nothing into something, thinking outside of the box. Like you've had to pivot for the COVID situation, and you learn how to sort of do that as a business, as an entrepreneur. And these are the kind of things these are what I'm looking at. Like when I talk about my podcast and the people that I want to interview, these are the highlights for me, man. These are the bread and butter stories where I'm like, wow, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the stuff that the average fella out there needs to hear, to be inspired, to continue chasing their dream. You know what I'm saying? I just really appreciate you being on today, man. Hey, can you highlight how you partner with other local businesses in the Palm Spring areas? Because that's what we're talking about right now, and it sounds like that's what you, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's getting out there, like you are partnering with other people. It sounds like.
Right. And so I'll go back to what the business I started when I was in Los Banos. It was a financial services brokerage. And in that business model, we weren't a financial services provider ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We had no financial services products of our own, but we had partnerships and relationships with every major financial services provider. So when we met our clients, we were able to offer not just one set of solutions, but to customize a total solution package for the client using the huge bag of tools or the bag
Right.
of, everything we had in our arsenal. And I learned that business model. And so today, Mike the driver with Trypps, never saying no, people needed limos and party buses. And so I started partnering with transportation providers and being able to offer guests anything they need, to be able to offer the guests anything they need, from a simple ride to a ride in style or a limo, to a limo or a party bus, to a fleet of coach buses.
Wow.
So the business just grew. I mean, I can now move, instead of just, one or two people or a small group of people in my one car, I can now move hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And now I can do huge events like weddings.
Yeah.
And it just opens up. I guess the way I think outside the box, I just figure out how to partner with people that will open up more options for me
Right.
to offer to my guests, to offer to my clients.
Right. And then you obviously it's a partnership. So that secondary business that you're partnering with, it's not like they're being cut out of some deal or anything like that. They're getting exposure. They're going through you. They're probably they're making money in the process of it. So it's a full on, those of you out there who are thinking about starting a business and you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, consider partnering with other businesses. It might be good for both of you. It could be beneficial for both of you,
Right. So I partner with the transportation providers, local and far. I partner with the hotels. The hotels are throwing business my way. When guests come into town, I also have some really good suggestions and send them in certain directions. So I give back to the hotels too. I partner with restaurants, and that was going to be the next thing I talk about. When COVID shut down transportation and hospitality, but people needed their stuff delivered, and food delivery then became kind of a spotlight. So I started building a restaurant delivery platform, and now I'm partnering with restaurants and handling their online sales and
Wow.
marketing and generating online sales for them. And then, of course, we execute the delivery
Wow.
of the food. Yeah.
So there you go, man. You're just tackling it all, man. Finding ways, to make something out of nothing. But I mean, that's just the concept, right? That we're just pitching that concept. You actually doing something, partnering with a local business, being the middleman. All of a sudden, you open up the door saying, well, we can also provide food for those said valued customers who trust us and they trust our recommendations. So, you partnering with those local businesses, being that person to go the step further to connect the customer with that other business, these are just all things that I'm interested in learning, and I really appreciate your time and the things that you're saying today, because this is stuff that, people out there maybe need to hear. Somebody out there starting a business or looking into it, entrepreneur needs to hear. So before we get on to a few more questions, to take a little bit different approach, but I do want to ask, what should your clients expect from their experience with Trypps as a business?
5-star customer service. That's it. 5-star. That's what they can expect. We are a full-service travel, tourism, and hospitality platform.
5-star customer service. Y'all hear that? I had to ask him. Make sure that the listeners hear it. I want you guys to know what they are providing, okay? I just want people to hear it clearly. Secondly, what does a future look like for Trypps and Mike, the entrepreneur?
Trypps will be a global brand that the traveler trusts. And in any major tourist destination in the world, they'll see Trypps and they'll know that they can trust Trypps and they can trust the providers that Trypps has put them in touch with. And so it'll be a global brand. And I don't know, one of two things will happen. Trypps will be huge and blow up, and I'll forever run it until the day I don't run it anymore, or some giant corporation will try to buy me out, will offer me a buyout, some blow off money.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I'll have to decide, and then I'll figure out what my next move will be. But I'll always be moving.
That's the entrepreneur spirit right there, man. I could tell. I get that vibe. I get that vibe from you, clear as day, Mike. The entrepreneur, man. Always moving. Always moving. So I got to ask this question: if entrepreneurialism had a scale based on dedication, what is your level of dedication, and what level of dedication, in your experience, is necessary for success?
If entrepreneurialism had a scale, I guess the level of a person's dedication needs to match the level of success they want to achieve. So if they're in it only halfway, don't be surprised when, they're only getting half efforts from the people they work with, or half efforts from the clients, the clientele, the business they generate in their success. I'm 100%. I'm 1,000%. And I feel that's where you need to be. If you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself and give it everything you have. And I believe that's every entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur will probably say the same thing. And it takes everything. It takes everything you have. Everything you have, every ounce of strength, of moral fiber, of courage, of tenacity. Because if you don't have all of that, the first time some adversity comes, you're not going to have the strength to keep going.
Wow.
The first thing will throw you off your game.
Wow. Man, Mike, I really appreciate that, man. You're dropping bars today. Dropping bars here on the Average Fellas podcast, man. You're doing more than you know. You're doing more than you know right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, what's a common misconception entrepreneurs should consider before jumping into a business?
That it's going to be easy. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. The people who stumble on a $1 billion idea or trip over a fortune,
yeah,
that's a small fraction of a percent. That just doesn't happen. So let's just be realistic. It's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
You need to work your butt off. And people who know me, people who've been in my world and spent any amount of time in my world know that that's how I am every single day from the time I wake up to the time I literally pass out.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And like I said, go back to the last question. You need to be all in. You need to be all in, and know that you know you're going to go to battle. You're going to go to war sometimes, and you're going to get your ass kicked sometimes. But you need to stay the course. Have that tenacity to stay the course.
Wow. That's good stuff, Mike. I really appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable as an entrepreneur, as a human, not just an entrepreneur, but as a human, being vulnerable and sharing those thoughts with us, especially the average fellows out there, the people out there who are, freelancers starting to get into the business, or people who've had to pivot, change careers because of coronavirus. Like that's obviously me right now. I'm in the position trying to change careers or looking at things differently because of the coronavirus. So I just really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you being here with us on the call today. I want to ask too, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs that maybe who have a business right now and they're struggling during COVID situation? Do you have any words of encouragement or any advice you want to shout out to them?
Stay strong. Stay strong. Take care of your mental health. That's probably something that most people don't pay much attention to or enough attention to. Your mental health is probably the most important thing. And stay strong mentally, stay strong spiritually. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. All millionaires and billionaires and entrepreneurs have more than one pot boiling.
Yeah.
More than one thing going, and I mean we'll kind of go back a little bit to even my story. Trypps transportation would be dead right now.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my limo friends who have fleet of limos are dying and going out of business right now.
Wow.
And if I didn't have Trypps Delivery or Trypps Delicious to help, Trypps would be dead.
Wow.
So multiple streams, and I mean maybe it's not all falling under the same brand like I have it, but I mean if you start a business, have some other income coming in somewhere. Have a nest egg or some money saved or some other income coming inside somewhere else, your wife or your husband or your partner, your spouse, somewhere else you need backup.
Yeah.
So that's the best advice. Take care of your mental health and have a backup.
Wow. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that, man. Hey, Mike, we're approaching the 45-minute mark here. Could you do me a favor? Could you shout out where our listeners can find you, where they can find your business, website, social media, all that stuff like that? Just say it nice and clear, and shout out any of the partners that you have in the Palm Springs areas that during this time they could use business.
Okay. So yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you again, Zach. My name is Mike the Driver. I am the founder and CEO of Trypps.com. That is spelled TRYPPS.com, and you can find me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram at Trypps. Mike the Driver is another handle. I'm on Yelp. I'm on TripAdvisor. You Google Trypps or Google Mike the Driver, there will be plenty of things that come up under me. And on my website, Trypps Delicious is a page that right now has all of the local restaurants that I'm currently partnered with, and all of those restaurants I vouch for their food and their service. And if anybody is visiting the Palm Springs area and wants some really good information on where to go, what to do, how to get there, I'm your guy.
Trypps.com. I'm going to link that so that way it'll be so that way we can get listeners can check out your website and check out the link there, guys. Trypps Delicious. Check out all those links, guys. Once again, this is the Palm Springs area. If you're in town, that area, Trypps.com. We can get you connected and get you guys have a good time, because really, like Mike said, 5-star customer service is what they want to do as a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to put, when I show up to Palm Springs, I want to relax. I want to do what everybody else does, golf, soak up the sun. You know what I'm saying? Drink some wine out there on the golf course. That's what we all want to do when we go to Palm Springs, and that's pretty much what we want to do. So, you know, I want to leave all that other stuff in somebody else's hands. So, guys, go check out Trypps.com. Once again, guys, thank you guys for listening to the Average Fellas podcast. This is a podcast where we like to partner with small businesses, freelancers, startups, nonprofits, artists, individuals who are doing anything extraordinary. And we just want to share you with the world. So once again, thank you guys for subscribing, listening, follow us. Hey, rate, review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us move up in the directories. We're trying to get exposed here. We're trying to expose other people. So help us out. Once again, guys, appreciate you. Peace and love.